Hi, welcome back to the Photography Club. Today we're going to be talking about high school senior rep teams again. I'm so excited for this episode, and I'm so excited to welcome our special guest, Sean Brown. Hi, Sean.
Hello. Thank you for having me. I'm part of the club. I get
Yes,
to
the
I'm super
Photography
excited to
Club.
be here.
Yeah, I'm excited to have you. Sean, can you introduce yourself a little bit and tell everyone what it is you do?
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm Sean Brown, if you guys don't know me, and I'm a senior portrait photographer. I also coach and educate photographers really on the business side of like, how do you grow a business? How do you get profitable? But at the end of the day, how do you have a business that creates the freedom and flexibility for you? So I'm really grateful I've been able to do this for 10 plus years. I think we're going on 12 or 13 years now, run a multi six figure studio as a one man show without working weekends. And
Wow.
just grateful that I get to live the life that many people dream of.
Wow, yeah. Especially no weekends. That's really impressive
Well, I
as a
guess, okay, I
photographer.
should say no senior shoots on weekends. So we'll
Okay,
sometimes do like a shoot here and there on a weekend, but for the most part,
yeah.
it's, yeah, not having to do weekends for weddings and all that stuff.
Do you find that difficult, seniors not shooting on the weekends because they have sports and stuff after school? Is that ever a challenge?
At first it was kind of just like getting them on board with it. And I think with all things in business, when you start to set the boundaries and when you start enforcing them, your clients start respecting that more. And
Yeah.
so at first it was one of the things. It's like, hey, we're gonna photograph on Mondays or Tuesdays or Wednesdays. And at first it was I just didn't have weekends free because I was actually literally up in Seattle, like photographing like NFL and college football games. So it's like weekends I literally didn't have them when they were in school. And now it's just kind of something that we do. We shoot Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, sometimes Friday, and my clients just that's just what they get, and they take the dates and do they just pick whatever works best for them, and they work around the schedules that they have.
Okay, that's good to hear, yeah, because that would be my dream eventually to have some more weekends free, but I have noticed some pushback on that, so that's good to know. Okay, can you go ahead and talk about your senior rep team a little bit? How has starting a rep team transformed your photography business?
Yeah, great question. So let's rewind back to the very beginning. And I kind of stumbled upon this thing is like, what is even a senior rep program? So for those listening, they're like, what even is this? Is this like, are you paying people to photograph you? And I realized I go, oh my gosh, these are clients that literally will not only pay you, but also help spread the word about you. And I was like, sign me up. I was like, where is the dotted line? Let's get on this train. So decided to launch my rep program and it failed miserably. Like we're talking like two, three people. And I'm like, hey, I'm gonna give you a free shoot. I'm gonna do all these photos with you. And then you'll post them and literally crickets, like nothing. So I revamped it a little bit the next year. And when I realized when you run it in the right way, when you're not giving it away for free, when you're not doing all the discounts, when you treat them as actual paid clients, it has now been at the pillar of my business. I literally would not be where I am today without that rep program because it has not only given me the ability to fill my calendar earlier. Now I have all these people that are helping spread the word, and we can dive into the whole rabbit hole of Instagram algorithms and how Gen Z likes to post and all that stuff. But it really has given me the ability to get in front of clients year after year without having to feel like you're restarting your marketing. Because I think a lot of senior photographers, it's like feels very cyclical, right? Where it's like you have the class of 27, and then next year it's like, who do I market to? Like now I have to go find all these other people. The rep team is almost like this like self-filling client acquisition thing, if for lack of a better way
Yeah.
of putting it. And so now it's like I'm able to fill my calendar earlier. I have increased marketing urgency because people are like, "Holy cow, like Sean's getting booked. We need to get on the ball with booking senior photos." And that in and of itself is another marketing strategy, forming those relationships, increasing the word of mouth, the parents giving them something to talk about throughout the year. It has been literally, I think it's the best thing that a senior photographer can do, whether you're new, you're looking to jumpstart your business. It literally has been a complete game changer.
Wow. Yeah, that's so good to hear, and I love that you mentioned, like, kind of marketing booking earlier and marketing for the next class instead because I was stalking all of your social media and I seen one of your recent posts about have doing high school seniors, and it's like, "Okay, 2026 just graduated, like, we just got done with all the graduates. What next?" And most people immediately think, "Okay, let's start marketing for these 2027 seniors, the current seniors that are going into the next class." But you mentioned that you're actually missing a huge opportunity to start focusing on the 2028 seniors. And so I think that was just like a really big point for me because it was like a lot of people do their senior photos in the summer around here, and I feel like I'm already behind like these 2027 seniors. I'm not getting as much as I want. So
Mm, mhm.
instead, with my rep team, I should start focusing on collecting the information for the 2028 seniors early.
Yeah,
Would you say that's
and we can go into this because it's kind of like
okay?
it almost seems, like, really counterintuitive. You're like, "Okay, but we're photographing, like, this one class of seniors now. Why are we already, like, moving off of them into the next?" And the way that I think of this is that your marketing as a senior photographer starts 6, if not 12 months prior to them actually taking photos. That's when they're looking for photographers. They're starting to think about senior photos of what do I wear? Where do I take my photos? What do I want to look like in my photos? They're identifying a photographer who can give them that. And if you are not front and center on their Instagram feeds, on social media, whatever it is that they're looking to, Pinterest, blogs, all those things, you are kind of behind the 8 ball. And so one of the things, this is actually a story I'll share with you because I love you guys. So I'm going to give you, I love your listeners. So I'm going to give you guys a little secret. So one of the things I told one of my coaching students is last year they were in this spot and they just moved to a brand new market. So if you're listening, you're like in a new market or trying to get some traction. I told them that we were in probably May or June, and they're starting in the summer. They're starting like July, August, kind of the time frame that I photograph. And I told them, "Don't market to 27 right now. You can, but like don't make that your focus. I want you to focus on 28." Or excuse me, the upcoming class. So this would have been 27 last year. So basically the class that you're photographing, not right now, but the
Mhm.
next one.
Yeah.
And I told them, everything you do marketing wise, whether it's a model call process, whether it's getting names or looking for people who might be on your senior rep program, spend your time, your effort, and your energy on that. And they're like kind of going into freak out mode because they're like, I need to market now. Like, I need bookings now, Sean. And I go, I get it. I get it. Just hang tight with me. So they started doing that. They went from having nobody in a brand new market. I think they're up to like 9 or 10 people on their senior rep program. And she's actually coming off her best January ever. She had like $20,000 in sales. And so if you're listening to this, hi, I know you know who you are. And it goes to show that that ripple effect, you might not see it today, you might not see it in tomorrow's bookings, but that's going to keep you going for years to come because you're always thinking ahead. You're always getting ahead of what other photographers are doing because where a lot of photographers market is in this reactive space where it's, I don't have bookings, so I need to market. Really, what it should be is we should be marketing even when you have bookings, but more so marketing in order to get those bookings 6, 12 months later. Not right now, but really actually in the future is kind of my best marketing tip for you guys. Don't market to this class, market to the next one.
Wow, that's so good. I love that. Thank you for sharing that story. What are some things that you can do to market to the next class instead of this class? Like, how do you make
Yeah.
that shift?
So the best thing that I usually recommend for and let me ask this question, Sue, too. Is this are we talking like you're new to the market, like you don't have anybody because they're two different stories than somebody who's established as well?
Mm, yeah, let's go ahead and say like you're new to the market and you're just not really getting any
Yeah.
bookings.
I was like, I don't know where kind of all your listeners necessarily fall. So let's say you're like brand new, don't have any single clients, or you're like, hey, how do we grow and get more people in like a different high school or a different market? And the single best thing that I can recommend is what I call our model call to pipeline process. And this is a really fancy way for a really fancy way of saying a super simple process, which is what you're going to do is you're going to reach out to people that are in that perspective high school that you're looking to get into, graduating class, whatever it is. Now, the mistake that a lot of photographers make is they go on social media, they go into Facebook groups, and they make a post and they say, "Hey, I'm looking for class of 28 seniors," or "I'm looking for somebody who's a current junior," or something like that, and you hear crickets. Like, you don't hear anything, right? What we're gonna do is Gen Z, they don't like rejection. They wanna be a part of something. They wanna be included. So the last thing they wanna do is put their name in for something, and all of a sudden, they're not chosen. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna be very sneaky, and we're gonna send them a DM with an offer to work with you on a free shoot, the model call. And what you're gonna do from there is you're gonna do a normal shoot just like you would any other client. You're not gonna sell them images, you're not gonna do any of that. It feels bait and switchy. It feels just kinda like salesy, right? And you're just gonna offer them a spot. You can either have them work with you on the senior rep program, or you can do what we call like a VIP offer. So just like something exciting, family shoot, mini session, whatever it is that gets them excited. That's like, hey, we want to book with you, and we're going to give this to you in addition, or I'm going to give this to you when you book with us. And when you start doing that more and more, not only do they then post their photos from the shoot, but you also have the opportunity, kind of like this back side door, to get clients as well. So it works twofold. You're now on their Instagram feed, so they're sharing the content that you're creating. They're reposting your stories, your reels, your behind the scenes, whatever it is. And they're also saying, "Hey, we'd love to work with you as well." And that's like the number one thing. If you guys listening are like, "How do I get more clients?" and you start doing that right now, and start reaching out to that upcoming class, I guarantee you, if you stay consistent with that, you will literally set yourself up for literally the best year ever. We had one student, 0 to 1 client a year for the seniors. She was like, Can I even do this full time? Can I even have a senior business specifically?" She was doing families at the time.
Mhm.
She texted me this year, she hit 6 figures, and it was all founded on that model call process, which is super powerful. It's like this super sneaky but really powerful method to expand your reach.
Wow, okay, so just to clarify, when you reach out, you're reaching out to invite them to a free photo shoot?
Yeah,
Or
you're just sending them a DM. So
okay,
you're going into their Instagram, "Hey, we'd love to, I'm a new photographer. I'm looking to build my senior portfolio. I want to try a new location, or I have this awesome dress that I got on Newly or whatever it is, and I want to just work with somebody. Are you available?" You can have them bring a friend if you want as well. But what we're doing is we're just asking them for that initial connection. And we're not coming at this from the perspective like, "Hey, you're gonna book with me later, you're gonna work with me." It's really just like, you have to be super okay if they don't book with you. That's what you gotta do. But when you come in with that mentality of like, "I'm just gonna get in front of more people," that's gonna carry you super far because 'cause they're gonna talk about that experience with you. They're gonna say, "What is it like to work with Sue? What is it like to work with whoever it is that's listening? What is it like?" From that perspective, they're gonna tell their friends, and that's what starts that brand awareness piece. That's what helps get you known in those new circles, which again, you're not gonna see the bookings necessarily right now, but it's going to accelerate that kind of that marketing, presence that you have in those schools.
term building those long-term relationships.
Exactly, yeah.
And did you say that you do give them an offer? Like, you said that if they did book with you, you would give them something. Sorry, I'm not sure if I
Yeah,
heard
that's
you
kinda
right.
like the super sneaky, like,
Oh,
side door.
that's what
It's
you do,
like, "Hey,
okay.
we're gonna give you the images from this shoot," but it's like, "I had such a great time with you.
Okay.
I would love to work with you even more." So then you can make an offer to the senior rep program, or if you don't have one and you wanna go, another route, saying, "When you book senior photos with me," kind of put this little, like, offer in front of them that's, like, kind of a bonus for working with you.
Okay, I love that. Wow, yeah, that's so good. Is there a belief you can share that many photographers have about rep teams that aren't true?
Where should we start? Um, I think the biggest one that I hear is that it takes too much time. And I think a lot of photographers come at the rep program from the wrong perspective, where I've had a lot of conversations with students, where or photographers I should say, where they come at this and they say, "We're gonna start a rep program. We see, like, how awesome this can be for our business." And then they come in and they just try to give way too much. They try to put all their time, their effort, their energy into the rep program, and especially it can be frustrating when it's not bringing in referrals, because now what happens is you feel like you've tied up so much of your time and your energy in this for what seems like no marketing return. Now, that's a whole nother thing. You are getting a marketing return. You just might not be able to like physically track it to the rep program, but you are getting a marketing return. And when photographers take a step back and they say, what is it that I can do that one is sustainable for me? How many hours do I want to dedicate to this? How often do I want to do the photo shoots? What does it look like in my overall business timeline? So, like, if your busy season is because you're probably similar to me, Sue, where it's like July hits or maybe even June because you guys get out of school a little earlier.
Mhm.
June hits and you're crazy busy through October, November, right?
Yeah.
So all
Mhm.
of a sudden you're like, let's load in our senior rep shoots into the summer because that's when the weather's good. You're going to get overwhelmed. You're going to burn out because now you're trying to not only balance your client load, but you're also now trying to add in this other piece of the business. And so where I always start is if you are spending any more than 10 hours per quarter, so that's like 2 to 3 hours a month on your rep program, you are not optimizing it. You are actually
Wow.
spending too much time in it. And you laugh because you're
Okay.
like, "Oh my gosh, I'm" in your head, you're probably
Yeah.
like, "I'm spending way more time with my reps than that." And when we can come at it from a perspective of we also have to acknowledge that these seniors are super crazy busy.
Mhm.
So when you're like, hey, let's do all this stuff, not only are you overwhelming yourself, but now you're actually putting a barrier to entry for your seniors to work with you. Because what's one of the biggest objections that I hear people saying why they don't want to be a part of a rep program? It's too much time. And this is coming from the senior perspective. So they're involved with sports, extracurriculars. They have athletics. They've got a ton of different things going on in their life. So the idea of adding in something additional to their already busy schedules, that gives them another reason to say no on top of like maybe price or um, a bunch of other factors too. But when we can condense what you're giving to your reps and literally spend no more than 2 to 3 hours a month on this, and I tell my reps like, "Hey, if you have time to spend scrolling on TikTok for 2 to 3 hours tonight, you have time to be a part of the rep program." Like, that's what I tell them, that's my pitch to them, and they go, "Oh, okay. Yeah, like, that's not that bad." And so, if you're a photographer and you're like, "This is gonna be too much time or it's gonna take too much," too much away from your business, I would really encourage you to look at what is the bare minimum that you can deliver to your reps. Not don't make it bad. Like just think of it this way. More does not equal better, but you can make the shoots that you are doing more meaningful. And also, how much more special is it going to be if you're only getting a shoot a quarter? How much more likely are the reps to show up? How much more invested are you going to be to deliver on an awesome experience for them? Because now it's like, hey, this is like what we're doing this quarter as a team. If you can come at it from that perspective and say, I'm going to just be very intentional with the time I am spending with them, I think it takes so much pressure off of you as the photographer to constantly be creating shoots, creating group events, just keeping the team going, right? The team will kind of manage itself even when you're not running it. Be okay with taking a little bit of a back seat and really look at your time and say where can I spend the time? Where can I reallocate my time to other things in the business?
Mm. When your seniors join your rep team, are they also getting individual senior photos with you?
Yeah, great question. So the way that it's structured and how at least I do it, and it's a rep program. You can run it a million different ways. That's kind of the beauty of running your own photography business. It's like you get to do what you want. And it irritates my coaching students when I'm like, well, what do you want to do in your business? Like it's your business. But it's true. Like at the end of the day, it's like if you want to just do groups, then there are tons of photographers where it's like that's what they do. But for all of my senior team, senior reps, they're all doing an individual senior session with me. So we're doing some group shoots throughout their junior and senior year, and then they're coming to me for their individual senior portraits. That is when we're doing like the in-person sales. That's when we're doing like they're actually getting their photos. Like those are their senior pictures.
Mhm.
So like yes, they're going to get photos from the group stuff. Yes, we're going to deliver digital and individual files of for those shoots, but that's not taking away from their individual senior session.
Okay. Would you mind walking through your schedule a little bit? You said you do juniors and seniors on your rep team?
Great question too, which I think the timeline trips so many photographers up for some reason. So, um with this kind of the best way to explain this is think of each team as its own, we'll call it its own journey, its own timeline. So, there are going to be times of the year where you are going to be working with 2 senior teams, okay? So, just keep that in mind. We're gonna start in, for me, fall or winter of their junior year. Okay. So they're with you from fall or winter of their junior year all the way through graduation. So we're working with them for about 12 to 18 months, right in that ballpark. You probably a little bit closer to the 18-month mark. So when I say junior or when I say senior reps, they're actually juniors when they're first signed. So my gals have been with me. We're June 18th today is when we're recording. So I don't know when this podcast is going out, but June 18th when we're recording. These gals who I'm going to be taking senior photos of in 2 weeks, a little under 12 days, they have already been with me for up to about what is that, 8 months? So I've already been working with them for 8 months. They still have another like full year with me as well.
Oh,
But
okay.
keep this in mind, because we're starting when they're juniors, now in fall or winter, when they are seniors, we're already recruiting and marketing for that next class. So now I'm going to now you're going to have another team that comes in as well. So at times you're going to have like a 27 and a 28 team. You're going to have two different teams that you're kind of juggling at the same time, but I keep them independent of one another. So we're not like
Okay.
mixing. We're not like bringing the 27 to meet the 28 or doing the shoots together, because to me that feels a little messier than just like, here's your timeline, here's what we're doing. Fall of junior year we're doing this, spring of junior year we're doing this, fall of senior year we're doing this. To me, my brain maybe works better if we just segment them a little bit, where it's not like, trying to throw a bunch of puzzles together and then solving them. It's like, how can we just keep this as simple and streamlined? So they're with you for 18 months or so, and that's kind of the general timeline. We're doing about a shoot a quarter.
Okay. And so do you have like an application phase or how do they get signed up to work with you?
Yeah. Don't just let anybody on your program. I have done that before. Learn from my mistakes, y'all. So with your rep program, you must have an application. Like I don't say many definitive things about business, but like the two things I'll say is like you have to price yourself profitably if you want to be in business long term, and you have to have an application for your rep program. And if you don't have an application, it is the best thing that you can possibly do, because with an application, it does a few things. One, it allows you to figure out like, hey, who is it that I want to work with? Who is it that's a good fit for the program? The second is it shows who actually values you, because what we want to do with the application process is we want to kind of cull or eliminate like the freebie seekers or the people that don't that are kind of anticipating discounts. Like it's like I get to do a bunch of free photo shoots and it's going to be discounted senior photos. That's not what the rep program is. Like these guys are full paying clients. With the application process too, what it does for you as a photographer is first you get to know who it is that you're going to be working with for 18 months. Because I don't know about you, Sue. I want to work with people that are a good fit, who match my energy, all that stuff. So it's like we've got an interview process as part of that. But more importantly, it keeps you in the driver's seat for the timeline of the team. So with an application, you're going to have an open. you're going to have a close. So there's a specific period that we're like, hey, you've got this time to get the applications in, and when the deadline hits, you close it, and you're done. And then we're moving on to the next phase, which is the interview cycle. Then we're getting into the team process. And so with an application, you're able to control a lot of different factors, which is where a lot of photographers slip up, where I think they go, well, we didn't get enough applications, so we're going to like extend our application deadline. Or they say, well, I'm just going to take everybody as part of the application process because maybe I only got like 6 applications and I wanted like 10 on my team. So I'm just going to take everybody. But if we're ignoring things like red flags of who's not going to be a good fit or who may not be valuing your time as a photographer, yes, you may have a client now, but it's going to create a lot of headache and stress later on. So yes, there absolutely is an application period. And I love that you asked that question because it's like something a lot of photographers are like, give me your name and your Instagram and your high school. Boom, you're on the team, right? We want to have a lot more of an in-depth application so that we can really get to the bottom of like, who do we want on our team? Who's going to be a good fit? And when you start attracting people that are a good fit, that's going to ripple into the next year's class because then we get into a whole nomination cycle as well. Who are people that you think would be a good fit for next year's team? And if you're pulling from bad people year to year,
Yeah.
you're eventually going to start to feel that in your business versus if we start with people who want to work with you, who value you, then when we start asking who they would recommend, we start getting those top tier applicants kind of year over year.
Okay. So when is your application phase? Is that coming up in fall or winter for
Yeah,
your
fall or
next?
winter.
Okay.
Yeah, and it'll kind of depend on your market too. So like just because you hear me say fall, for like if you're in Texas or you're in Southern California, you may want to do like a January launch or even like a spring launch because your your shooting seasons are going to be a little bit different. And so your shooting season does affect like when you should be launching your rep program because there is a thing as doing it too early. There is a thing of doing it too late. So we kind of want to be like right in that sweet spot for your market. But yeah, I'll launch in the fall.
So how early before your busy season would you say is a good time to open that application?
I don't necessarily have like a general rule because it's like there are what we call like no-go zones where it's like, don't launch during the holidays, don't
Yeah.
launch during like, prom or something like that. Just because it's like, or like when school's getting out, because people have a million other things to do than sit down and fill out your application, right? So if you're launching anywhere 6 to, I would say like the ideal spot off the top of my head is like, it's just so market dependent, like 6 to 8 months. But I've seen photographers do it 4 months prior to busy season and be completely okay as well. So I like to be closer to kind of that like that 6 to 8 month period personally.
Okay. And then would you mind breaking down your pricing structure? Like, what is it that they're paying for? And does that
Yeah.
include just their individual, or does that also include the group photos?
Yeah, great question. Look at you. You just like got all the questions that are just like perfect and like segue perfectly from one another. For pricing, this is where you have a little bit of, we'll call it a little bit of like leeway in terms of how you want to structure it. So I teach for my students 3 different pricing structures. And the one that I use is I call it my session fee plus method. So with the session fee plus method, now bear in mind, I'm an in-person sales photographer. So every client that I work with, they're meeting back at the studio. We're doing all the product design, all that stuff. So, mind you, I'm making my money up on the back end. So, my session fee, my retainer is like a tenth of what a client is spending overall, right? So, if you're doing it a little bit differently, you may want to structure it differently as well. But for me, what I want to do is I just want a little bit of money here so that they're signed on the team. Okay. So that's like I'm collecting their session retainer, but I also have expenses for the team. Okay. So this might be, we do Top Golf every year. Really, it's because I'm
Fun.
selfish and I want to golf, and I'm like, I want to go hit balls, and if I can do it as a business write off, great. That you
I
know
love that.
that's all I ask. So I know that we're going to do Top Golf. So what I'm doing is I'm factoring that into my overall, we'll call it operating costs of running a senior team. Then I also know we're going to do like swag bags for the clients. I also know that we're going to vlog with a V, like, video blog. So don't think like blogging, but like vlog. We're going to post it to YouTube. I know that I'm going to have costs associated with that. So I'm taking all those and I'm adding it to my session retainer. Okay. And that's where we get the session fee plus, because it is plus some other stuff. So that's what they're paying to be on the team. Now, my pitch to them is that all the pricing for the collections and the products is exactly the same as all of my other clients. So if they were to come to me and book senior photos, not on the senior rep program, they're paying the exact same packages. It's the exact same collections, products, all that stuff. Exact same. This method makes it super easy to get them on the team because you basically are positioning it as, hey, you guys are going to get all this stuff as part of the rep program, and you don't have to pay any more than any other client. So as a mom sitting there, you're like, "Oh my gosh, I get photos of my daughter from junior all the way through senior year, and it's the same cost as if we were to do senior photos, and she's already sold on you as her photographer anyways." Now it becomes a no-brainer, which is kind of what we want. We want them signed early, and for me, am I potentially leaving money on the table? Probably, and that's okay. But at the end of the day, you also have to ask yourself, like, what are those clients going to do for your business long term? What is the value of that for you? What what's the value of the marketing that they're bringing? What's the value of you having peace of mind of having a booked calendar before you've even opened up your calendar? What's the peace of mind of knowing that worst case scenario you don't get any clients on the books, you've at least got these people that are working with you. And the reason why I don't charge anything extra is because there are ways of doing that with your reps over time. There are things like, offering add-ons, or we actually just wrapped before recording this, was just at the studio doing an image premiere from a family session. This is a past senior rep, and we just wrapped up their ordering session. It was an $8,100 order. And they
Oh,
didn't, this is, mind you, they've already paid for senior photos. They've already been a part of the team and all that stuff. I didn't know that signing them as a client.
yeah.
But there are other avenues if you're like, "How do we monetize this in different ways?" You can do that in the right way without necessarily needing that money up front. Um, and where I see a lot of photographers kind of go wrong, it's another method you can do. I teach this method. It's a little trickier. A lot of photographers, they wanna go with this, like, super high price point. They're like, "We wanna go with, like, it's like $2,000 to join our team," or it's like $3,000, or, something, like, absurd.
Mhm.
You have not built that trust with that client yet. So to ask them to then spend multiple thousands of dollars with you, and they may have been coming in just trying to gather information. It's not impossible to do, but it's a very tough sell. So you have to be a really good marketer. Like, you really have to go from like 0 to 60 in their sales meet or in their senior rep interview meeting, like, and absolutely nail it, absolutely crush it. Photographers that do the session fee plus method, where it's just like, hey, it's my session retainer plus any costs I might incur. It's a super easy sell. So I would say, like, if you're listening to this episode and you're like have no idea where to start, start with that model. If that scares you, just go with a session fee. And that's like, hey, you're on the team, you just do products later. And hopefully, I don't know, I would say most of your listeners are probably like digital gallery delivering
I
and
would say
and not in the world of in-person
most of
sales
them are
quite yet.
digital, but I talk about in-person sales a lot because I just switched over a year ago, so I'm kinda trying to,
How's that
like.
been for you?
Oh, so good. Yeah,
Game
it's
changer,
been, I
huh?
mean, difficult. I will say, like, a struggle for sure, but yeah, game changer, yeah. So, they're, like, a little bit introduced to it, but I think most of them are still digital.
Yeah. Well, I would say, like, if you guys are, like, on the fence, like, go to in-person sales. It's, like, the best thing you could ever do
Yeah.
for your business. That's a whole 'nother podcast
Yeah.
episode right there. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, that's so good. For your session fee plus, do you charge them that plus right then, or is that something that you kind of invoice them throughout the year?
Yeah. So oh, yeah. Ooh, I love that. We don't wanna invoice them throughout the year, and the reason why is it feels like it's like you signed up for this experience, and it's like every time you turn this corner, you get nickeled and dimed. It's like, Spirit Airlines, back when they were still in business before, they went under. I think actually, I think I saw a rumor Red Bull bought Spirit Airlines recently.
Yeah,
But think
okay.
about your experience with Spirit Airlines for a second, for those of you guys who flew them pre-extinction. You get on the flight and it's like $30 to bring your carry-on. So you're like, now you're shelling out $30 to bring your bag on the plane. Then you get on board and you're like, "Huh, at least I get like my free bag of peanuts." Nope. That's like another $3 right there. You don't even get like bottled water or something like that, right? Every single turn they're charging you. I've been on like budget airlines where they charge you to print a boarding pass, right? Like I'm traveling and they're like, "We're going to charge you to print a boarding pass." What experience does that leave? Pretty awful, right? It's like, cool, I already bought my ticket and I'm just getting, just shelling out dollar after dollar here. I would much rather be on that Delta Airlines flight where I know when I buy my ticket, my bag's included. I know that I'm going to get on the plane. I'm going to get my coffee and my Biscoff cookies. I know that I can either, if I forget my mobile boarding pass, I can at least print it at the airport or something if my phone dies or whatnot. And and that experience is much cleaner. It's much more seamless. And so as a photographer, hopefully you have the foresight to see what costs might you be incurring as a part of running your senior rep program. So it's like, is this like admission to like a sunflower field or whatever it may be. And then just build that into your cost. Do it as one session fee. So don't like break it down, be like, hey, it includes this, this, this. Just say, hey, everything we do as part of the senior team, it's included. So like when we go to Top Golf, you guys don't have to pay. I'm gonna get all the appetizers, all the drinks. You guys order whatever you want, and and that's included in the team. I've already built that in. And when you do it that way, now all of a sudden that experience becomes much more premium. It feels like it's all inclusive. You don't have to worry about like, oh, do we have to pay for all these other shoots? Nope. It's just that's the fee right there. And so I love that like lump sum, just like, hey, this is what it's going to be at the beginning of the year. Plus, it's easier for your clients to understand too. It's like now they know exactly what they're paying rather than having any like hidden costs that sneak up on them later.
Yeah. Okay, so you have your session fee in the beginning for them to get their spot on the team, and then later on is when they have their individual session, and then they're gonna pay another payment for their artwork and for their photos. For that, do you have, like, a minimum amount they need to pay, so going in, they know there's gonna be another payment coming up?
Yeah, yeah. You want to be like super transparent about your pricing. Like the last thing I ever want to do is be like shady about what they're going to be paying. And for any of you guys, whether you're doing in person sales, whether you're breaking up payments, like you're doing all inclusive, whatever it may be, we want to make sure that like we are so like almost like overly transparent with what it is that they're going to be paying. Because if you're not, it's just going to leave a bad taste in the mouth. What if a client books you and they're like, we can't afford you? Like, that's my worst nightmare. It's like we show up to the shoot and they're like, oh my God, we didn't know how much this was going to be. So it's like every single step of the process, I'm like over communicating price. It's like, hey, did you see that you're gonna be spending this much right here and all that stuff? It's like, hey, by the way, this is like what most of my clients spend, and they're like, yep, all right, we got it. So it's like we want to make sure that we're super transparent. So like at that meeting process, like I wish I should have brought. I was just at the studio. I had like my senior team magazines, but I literally have the magazine at their meeting and I'm pointing to it and I'm like, this is what most clients spend. And I'll tell them straight up, I don't
Mhm.
think I had a single client that didn't do at least this, and I point to the 2 packages, and I say, "This is what you're gonna be spending. This is what we're gonna be doing after your daughter's individual senior portraits come summer of, whatever year it is." And when we can do that, not only do they start to respect you more, kind of going back to this whole, like, when you are just straightforward with them, they respect you. When you can put that number in their head, they know, "Okay, here's kinda my overall investments. Here's my overall costs." And I think a lot of photographers shy away from talking about pricing because it feels scary.
Yeah.
Because it's like, it is you putting a dollar amount on, like, your worth. That's what pricing is. And when we shy away from pricing, I've only seen bad things happen rather than, like, photographers who just say, "Hey, this is what the price is gonna be." You start attracting a different level of clientele too when you can own, like, what it is that you're charging. Different conversation.
Yeah. Yeah, that's so good, and it can be scary. I remember when I raised my prices too, and I had
Yeah.
a coach and she told me, "Get used to saying, 'and your investment is,'" like, just practice saying that number, because
Yep.
yeah, it's hard.
Yep. Yeah, I remember, like, when I raised my prices, you guys, you're gonna poop your pants too, and that's just, like, what's gonna happen because it is scary when you start to raise those prices or start to put it out there for your clients.
Yeah, that's a really good tip though. Okay, you talked about this earlier about getting referrals from your rep team, and you might not notice that, but I'm curious, so do you take on other clients who aren't in your senior team, like
Yeah,
normal
absolutely.
clients, and
Oh,
like
yeah,
the
totally,
referral
yeah.
process with that?
What's that?
Oh, I was just wondering about like your referral process with that, if you feel like it's actually helpful with your senior team or what you do with them for the
Yeah.
referrals?
My perspective of this might be a little bit different than some other photographers, and the way that I look at this is that with your referrals, you may not be able to track them, but that doesn't mean that they're not happening. And I think a lot of photographers get hung up with if I don't hear them say, "Oh, we found out about you from so and so referred me," that your referral process isn't working. And I don't think that that's true. And one of the things that I will speak to is in the contract, there's a line that says, who can I thank you for letting you know about me?" And I would say like 7 times out of 10, it's blank, meaning that like I have no information. And then we'll get to the session and they're like, "Yeah, we saw like this person's post and this person's post and this person's post." So they may not be necessarily like verbalizing how they found you, but they're seeing what everybody else is posting. The way that the senior rep program is so effective in terms of referrals is not in the direct referral, but in the influencer space, like the influencer
Mhm.
marketing kind of realm of things,
Okay.
where you can guarantee that if friends are starting to see all of their friends working with a photographer, one specific photographer, you can bet that they're going to start looking into that photographer. They're going to be like, "Dang, like, okay, like, everybody's working with this person, like, maybe I should go, like, check out their Instagram or go on their website," or what I don't know, do Gen Z people still go on websites? But
I don't know, that's a good
yeah,
question.
they're still going to your Instagram, right? And then the moms are going to the website, but
Yeah.
with that, it's like they're coming into your world because of your reps. So you might not be able to see it directly, but it's happening. And where I think photographers make a major misstep is that they start pushing for referrals. And it's almost, I call it like the reverse psychology, where it's like I tell my clients, my senior reps, don't post if you don't want to. Like, I'm not asking you to post. I'm not asking you to say book with Sean because it's cheesy, it's salesy, it's awkward. Like, you don't like it. I don't like it. And when we put that in their head of like, okay, I don't have to post, I don't have to share, this actually gives them the freedom to share versus like being told, "Hey, you got to post this much, you got to do this." Like it becomes more of a job for them. And then they start thinking, "Why am I paying you to do your marketing as well?"
Mhm.
But when you literally tell them, "It's like, I don't care if you post, if you want to post, that's your prerogative. Just I just ask that you're engaged, that you're supportive, that you're encouraging of one another. That's what the team is about. This isn't about you marketing. That's my job. And I literally tell that to them in their meeting. I say, your job is not to go out and post a ton or tell your friends all about me. That's my job as the marketer. All I ask is that you're a supportive teammate. And when you put that perspective on it, now what they're able to do is they're able to share that experience more organically rather than it being forced, where it's like, okay, they're clearly just posting it because they're like, they want something in return or like they're being told to. It's kind of like the influencers where you can tell it's like when they're using the beauty product versus like when the beauty product is paying them to post. Have
Mhm.
you noticed that? It's like there's like a
Yeah.
different level of like authenticity behind it.
Yeah.
Where if they're like genuinely sharing about the product, you're like, oh, okay, maybe I'm gonna go check this out. Versus like, ah, Neutrogena paid them again to do another product post or whatever. Same goes
Yeah.
for your seniors too.
Mm.
The Gen Z is picking up on it. And so we want to kind of like almost use that reverse psychology on them to get them to post, share the word about you. And you just kind of have to trust that like they do that enough and your business name is going to get out.
Do you have any requirements for them? Is there this any, like, thing that they do need to do besides you said just show up and be engaging? Is there anything else they need to do?
Yeah. I tell them 2 things. I go, "Don't be a dick," right? Sorry if you have to blank that for your audience, but, like, I tell them, like, "Don't be a jerk, be supportive, be encouraging of one another," and then I have another rule, which is, like, you're not working with other photographers, right?
Mm,
And the first one kinda goes with, like, don't do anything that, like, is gonna get you kicked off of, like, your cheer team. So it's like, if you're, like, posting about, like, drinking and doing drugs and all that stuff, like, we're probably not a good fit. Like, you're probably not a great fit for the brand.
mhm.
That's and then just, like, be supportive. So, like, don't bully, don't harass others, don't, like, be a jerk on social media, like, those types of things. And then the other one is the exclusivity. So, they're only working with me. So, we're not working with other senior photographers. We're not, trying to go out and be on 10 other senior rep programs or anything like that. Like, you're committed to this program. And the way I kinda position it is like, you're a part of a team. Like, you wouldn't be on, like, 2 other soccer teams, right? Like, you're committed to this team. These are the
Mhm.
connections you're forming. And with that as well, I will say that I leave out, like, sports photographers or prom photographers. Like, I don't wanna take away their senior year, but there do have to be boundaries. So it's like, I don't really care if you're going to, like, post photos from your last soccer game that was taken by the school photographer or, like, the guy who's on the sidelines. Like, I don't really care about that. I'm more concerned with, like, are you working with other senior photographers that are gonna be, we'll call it, basically, are you gonna be a part of 2 teams? Are you gonna be a part of multiple programs? And those are really the two things that I ask of them. So notice I don't say post a ton. I don't say you have to make a certain number of shoots. I don't really do any of that. Again, the easier that you can make this team, or the easier you can make having them say yes to the team, the better your team's gonna be. That's just the truth of the matter. The more barriers, the more boundaries, the more rules that you put into place, the easier it is to say no. And so that's why I'm literally like 2 rules: be nice and don't work with others.
Yeah, that's so good. Have you ever had difficulties with seniors working with other photographers, that exclusivity part? Because this is a problem I've noticed with a lot of photographers who I talk with about their rep team. They really struggle with this. Like the senior will post photos from other photographers, and then it just creates all kind of drama, and they don't know what to do about it. So, what advice do you
Yeah.
have there?
First, if you're listening, don't be that photographer that's shooting with other people. Um, like, there has to be, and I think this is a great conversation too, and sorry if this doesn't go take us in the direction that we want, but something I've seen from kind of my perspective on the industry is, like, when bookings get tough, I think photographers start doing a lot more shady stuff. Don't be that shady photographer. And I know, like, you're probably not listening because 'cause you're like, "I don't follow suit. I'm awesome," and that sort of thing. Like, the shady photographers probably aren't even listening to this message, but, like, it starts with us as the photographers. Like, we have a responsibility. Like, if you know somebody's on a rep program with somebody else, like, don't don't work with them. Like, don't reach out to them, right? That's the first step, is like from the photographer's responsibility. Now, if that does happen to you, and it's happened with me as well, there I like to say, hey, it's black and white. Like they either work with another photographer and they're off the team, or they don't. We're all fine. There's a gray area too, and I think that's where a lot of photographers have difficulties, where they have troubles. Where it's like, it's just like this one time. It was kind of this circumstance. They made this justification, and we get into this gray space. Unfortunately, you kind of have to take it as a case by case basis. Like you have to weigh some things. And honestly, I'll be transparent. Like this happened a few times with some of my gals this year. And it was like around prom, or excuse me, it was around graduation. And so they were doing like cap and gown photos with another photographer. And I had a couple ask me, they were like, "Hey, is like I know like probably this is out of contract." And and I was like, "You know what? If you want to go do a cap and gown shoot with like your friends, we're at the end of the year. You've already paid me money for your senior portraits. It's not really something I want to do personally." So it's like, do I want to do 40 different cap and gown shoots? Not particularly. And I think there comes a time where you have to weigh like what's in your best interest as well. Not from the business, but also your energy. And is this something that I even want to pursue? Is this something I want to make a big deal about? Now, if you're in like the middle of the year and it's like they're working with a photographer and it's like very clearly like they're using it to advertise their business, like no, that's not going to fly. So it's like that gray area. It's like if this had happened like 6 to 12 months earlier, would I have addressed it differently? Probably, but it wasn't. There's like context behind how you have to run the business too. But I think having at least in your contract with your reps of like, here's like the established policy. Um and having something like a clause that's like at the discretion of the photographer, I think is really important too, because it kind of gives you that leeway, that like gray area of like, why did it not happen here? Why did it happen here?
Mm,
But I think it comes down to 2 things. 1, what does your contract say? And 2, what level of energy do you wanna put into this, of either pursuing this or not pursuing this as well? Is it
yeah.
easier and more freeing for you to just, like, forget about it and sweep it under the rug? Do you want your last moments with your reps being like, he was, total, like, hard ass until the very end? And, like, maybe? But probably not, right? And so there is some gray area. Sorry, Sue, your editor's gonna have to bleep a lot of stuff, so I apologize in advance. I'm trying to keep it PG, but sometimes
That's
when I get
okay.
passionate about something, it's like, yeah.
Yeah,
So it's like you do have that gray area.
yeah.
And as photographers, I think that this is a beautiful lesson in like, how is it that you're working through stuff? And one of the things that my business coach says is your business grows to the level of problems that you're willing to solve. And I think that's a beautiful phrase, because when we are able to take on more problems, your business is going to grow to a different capacity. If you think about it, if you have no problems in your business, you're probably playing too small.
Mm,
And then the more problems you have, it shows that you're showing growth, that you're putting yourself out there more. And when we're able to say, if we have that problem, first of all, it means that you have reps on your. What
yeah.
opportunities does it offer for you to grow as a photographer? Can you strengthen your contract? Can you go back and say, well, how, are there ways that I could have been more clear about this? Was I, ambiguous about this? Did they misinterpret it? And if you can say no to those, well, then, okay, it comes down to like the rep was just not respectful of your time, or whatever it is that you want to draw that conclusion. But to recognize like when is it your battle to fight, I think is one of the greatest things you can do, and when it comes to that situation. So I don't know if that answers the question, but
No,
that's
that was
like
good.
my take on it.
Yeah, yeah, and I appreciate you digging into that because last year I had this problem and it was in my contract, but I never specifically mentioned it to
Hmm.
anyone. And pretty much it was like halfway through the year, I started seeing a lot of other photographers posting photos of my team, which thankfully, the girls on my team didn't post the photos themselves until, like, after the program, but a couple of them did, but I just wasn't sure how to address the situation, and I just ended up just letting it go, just letting it be. I didn't say anything to them, which I'm glad that I did because I never would wanna cause drama, and it's hard because I'm also, like, community over competition, which I'm sure you are too, so it's hard because you don't want to reach out to those other photographers.
Yeah.
Yeah, and where my take on, like, community over competition comes from, there has to be community first. And
Okay.
so my take
Yeah.
on it is like if you're like blatantly working with other people where it's like they're under contracts that have exclusivity agreements, like is that actually community? Right. So it's like that's a whole nother conversation too. But
Yeah.
kind of comes down to like you have to put the line in the sand eventually, right?
Yeah.
And so it's like especially if you're able to have those explicit conversations like this is in your contract or like this is what's required of you. I also think that plants the seed in their head a little bit earlier to like be a little bit more mindful of that too. But yeah, it's not a fun situation. Like nobody enjoys going through it.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
thank you for sharing your perspective on that. That's really helpful
Yeah,
to hear that
absolutely.
it's something pretty much everyone struggles with, and you just have to find your
Yes,
own
it
best way
is.
through it. Okay, so to wrap things up, could you quickly share just some steps someone could take immediately if they were wanting to start a senior rep team?
Yeah, I love this question. Oh my gosh. What just 3? I have a whole list. I think the first thing is like have your business foundations set. So, like, if you're wavering on your pricing or it's like your method of pricing was like going to your competitors' websites in your town and like being like, all right, like, what are they charging roughly? Okay, that's like what the market dictates. Well, that's a whole another thing. But like, if you're not rooted in profitable pricing, like that's the first thing because we got to have like our pricing set before we go out and get clients. That's kind of like our first step. How much do you want to make? How many clients do you want to photograph? Boom, that's your pricing. Yes, pricing can be that simple. How much do you want to make, and how many shoots do you want to do? The second one is start forming relationships with those who are going to be a part of that program. So whatever class it is that's coming up, go out, start doing model calls, start working with people that are not under contracts already from photographers, but like reaching out to people of forming those initial bonds. And then the third step is just go out and do it. And I know that sounds really simple. And the method that I teach all of my students is I call it the MVP model. And this kind of stems from the tech world. So think of like Uber. When Uber was first out, Uber didn't have everything ironed out about their app. Like half the time it broke, like they didn't have enough drivers on the like they didn't ask, okay, well we're going to put it out in the world when we have a million drivers or a billion users or whatever it is.
Mhm.
No, they put out the minimum viable product. And you can do that with your senior rep program as well. Each thing that you do is going to tell you what to do next. Okay. Your action is going to create the clarity that you need. Another quote from my business coach as well. So, with that,
So good.
and he's like not even in the photography space. So it just shows like
Oh,
it's really just about business.
yeah. Mhm.
When you take that first step in your rep program, you're going to be like, okay, I got my application. Now what do I need to do? Okay, now I need a presentation or a magazine for their meeting process. Okay, once they are at the meeting process, oh, okay, now I need a contract. And so you're going to have a problem that presents itself each step of the way. And that problem is going to be your next step for what to do.
Mhm.
Same goes for just go out and do it and don't try to have it perfected. Don't try to have it all put together because you're never going to get started. And each year you run your rep program, each iteration, you're going to learn things of like, okay, timing didn't work well for this. So I'm going to change this up. Or okay, I need to tweak this. And each year it'll get better and better. And what you want to do is you just want to rinse and repeat that every year. Like you don't have to start over. Like if you look at my last I don't know, 5 years of launching, like if you want to be crazy enough and go back on my Instagram, you'll see my launch is pretty boring. I'm posting the same carousels year after year. I'm posting the same reels year after year. I'm doing the same things because it works. And when you
Mm,
have something that works, just keep doing it. Like, as creatives, I know we want to go out and do a bunch of new things, but like if it works in business, just keep doing that. And if you can have
yeah.
the discipline to do that, your team's going to take off. You're going to be so much further ahead. So, what were the three things? Have your pricing, go out and start getting your, I don't know, not your like feelers, that sounds bad, but like start having like your, interactions with like people
Mhm.
who might potentially be applied, get your name known in those circles, and then just go out and do it. Like you just have to,
Yeah.
put it together, even if it's messy, just go out and do it.
Yeah, perfection kills momentum. So,
100%.
yep, such
Yeah.
a good tip. And I know it can be hard to just do it, but you really just have to, and you have to embrace the failures and embrace the learning that comes along with it. That was so good, Sean. Can you tell everyone where they can find you and continue learning from you if they want to?
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm on Instagram, Sean Brown Productions. I'm hopefully Sue will like link it in the comments because
Yes.
I'm spelled the Irish way. So it's Scene Brown Productions if that's easier to remember. And then Senior Photo Education on Instagram too. Senior Photo Photography Education.com, all that stuff too. But Sean Brown Productions is probably where it's like most active with all the senior shoots and all that. All the fun photography stuff.
You have some good YouTube videos too. I've watched a few of your
I'm
reps.
glad they're getting out. That yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So go check out Sean's work, and thank you so much, Sean, for coming on the podcast.
Thanks so much for having me.